joined in the studio, somebody who has entered ndani ya studio, ndani, tengesa kidole, akano kidole. This is the Secretary General of KANU, Nick Salat.
Yes, yeah, thank you.
It must be vibrant. If
this is not tingizering, this is pointing.
And if you move it slowly, it might mean wiper.
Yes.
So it has to be vibrant.
Tengesa kidole.
Tingisa.
Joining us now on the hot seat is Nick Salat, the Secretary General of the Kenya African National Union. Chama ya KANU, chama ya Jogo.
Yeah, Baba na Mama.
Baba na Mama. It's still Baba na Mama.
Yeah.
You still consider it Baba na Mama.
Home, east, west, home is best.
Home is best. Karibu sana, Nick.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for joining us this morning. Of course, we saw you during the week of National Mourning when you'd lost the icon of the party, Daniel Toriti Charab Moi, and you said that you're going to have some 40 days of working as KANU to see what you can do to leave the legacy that Mzee Moi left and to ensure that you live by those ideals. Are you still in those days?
First and foremost, thank you, and I must commend you for this very beautiful station you have. I've been to other radio stations, but I've never seen anything like this.
Wow.
This is, and I have followed Spice, and I never put the face to the people behind the mic. And thanks, guys. It's a different page turner for this kind of line of work.
Thank you.
You guys are conversing well. You're reaching out to Kenyans and in a very, very mature way. Different, actually. Let me just call it different. Thank you so much. Maybe clarification about what I said on the day that we were laying the second president to rest. That 7 days is a traditional way of mourning for the family. So, which will end on Thursday this week. And then now we will have 40 days of remembrance, because not many people, as you saw, the crowd was huge, the lines were long, got a chance to say something that the second president, touched their lives on or about. We are going to have 40 days where now we have free speaking, where more people will be given a chance to speak. And we also, from that, we want to also use that as a way of molding our own, creating KANU, a rebirth of the party. And you can only have a rebirth of the party through utterances of those who believe in the party. And they will tell you this is the way we would want you to direct the course of the party. I was from the Morning Express this morning, and people are asking, what is it that is ailing this country? It's us, the political parties, because the value that we've put in the presidency is so high that everybody wants to go there. But had we, as political parties, if we had ideologies that we can sell to the people and they believe in us, because what I believe needs to happen is that people don't know a taxpayer is a Kenyan. It doesn't have a tribe. And what is it that you as a taxpayer need? It's me to say, I want to spend your money in this way and that way. The projects that really are going to make your life better. Yeah, so those are the kind of areas we wish that we as KANU can redirect and tell Kenyans that it is your money that politicians are spending, and you should have a say in that. And the political party should give you the roadmap on how they're going to spend them. Yeah, that's it. And that's ideology for us. So what we don't lack, our ideology is the presidency. So that's why everybody wants to go there. That's why everybody is killing for that.
So what is KANU's ideology?
I want us to say, from initial, we are actually a socialist leaning in terms of spending. We are more from the mwananchi. You spend what you have, and that's why in the very critical years, when funding was not coming for President Moi, he knew that if mwananchi is not fed, that's the worst person. And he kept feeding. But there was no much development because there was no money to use for development. But he made sure that food, the ingredient that keeps every one of us alive, was available, and affordable. Yes.
So now when you talk about you're saying you're thinking of the 40 days of, looking back into the party and seeing how you can rebirth and rebrand the party. Are you seeking to change the Jogo into green or something?
We may just slightly
tinker with the Jogo
to actually get because the youth are not the youth of now, the generation of today. Don't relate well to that Jogo. But if it's them and we've given them to give us a design that they can identify with, and we have a couple of them right now, and we're going to eventually launch that, have a day that we will present to the nation that this is now the brand new Jogo.
What needs to change, or what needs to come alive in KANU that will then make it? I mean, you talked about relevance just now. What needs to come alive in KANU that will make it relevant today with the problems that the country is facing, with the inclusion that needs to happen? What needs to happen in KANU that will make it relevant?
This is a country made of, the composition of this country is about 47, let's say 50 tribes. And with 50 tribes, the second president said that if there is no inclusivity, if there is Kenyans feeling that we're being sidelined, you'll never have a nation. And we want to say, how do we, because even America with 300 years of democracy, it's not perfect. But we are learning from countries like that as we grow, let's not repeat the same mistakes that has happened in 2008, 2013, and also 2017, where we're losing lives. We want to say that pressure we put to have our own as president should not. And that's why we in KANU are supporting BBI. We in KANU want to say, let 2022, not a single blood is shed. No, we don't want to lose the small girl, the famous small girl that we lost in Kibra. Was it Kibra or
Kisumu.
Kisumu.
Yes.
We cannot have innocent lives, losing innocent lives who have no role to play. But because of our fight to have our own to be the leader, that's why we need to demystify the presidency. And we need political parties to reduce so that we fight to have space in political parties that have ideology on how to spend. Kenyans have not identified one thing, that it is their taxpayers' money that politicians are using. And now if you give the presidency the authority to decide where the money goes, that's where every Kenyan will focus on and want their own to be there. And we will support BBI in terms of taking pressure on the presidency and having an inclusive Kenya where everybody belongs. And if you look at the President Moi's cabinet those days, I'm sure we're not that young here. Yes, he's very young. He's very young.
People have coughs.
Yeah, he's very young. So if we look at the composition of President Moi's cabinet then, he tried his level best to have an inclusive cabinet. And where Kenyans felt, okay, tuko na mutu yetu huko. Even that thought that tuko na mutu yetu huko, that my ideas and my thoughts are represented there, kept a country in a calm position. So to me, as a political party, we want to ensure that we have a country that has inclusivity.
So inclusivity for you as KANU, and you're saying that you're supporting BBI, what does it entail? Is it expanding the executive, having a parliamentary system of government, having multiple deputy prime ministers and prime minister? What is it?
What it means is, what BBI stands for is, to us as KANU, is to say the way the structure exists today, you cannot call it inclusive. You look at it that somebody can decide today that I can have my own tribesmates right from all positions. We want to say, let us have an inclusive composition in terms of the seats and in terms of that.
How do we achieve that?
We achieve that by not necessarily creating, you see, like for example, you can, the parliamentary system where members of parliament can be made into, can sit at the cabinet. That to me is better, because now that very same member of parliament will go to their own in Amagoro and will be part of the cabinet decision-making body, and that the people of Amagoro will know that they're included in government.
They're in government.
They're in government. So to me, exclusion is what will lead us to the same old problem we've had in 2013, 1997 and all, where every election we are counting the number of people we lose.
Do you want a prime minister, an executive prime minister?
I want...
As KANU.
We want an executive prime minister. Yes.
And how many deputies?
2.
2 deputy prime ministers. So an executive prime minister, 2 deputies,
Yes.
and then the cabinet to come from parliament.
Yes.
Now, one of the reasons why, of course, the argument that was being fronted in the Constitution of Kenya 2010 of having the executive coming outside parliament was part of that, was part of trying to disperse off the imperial presidency, where the president was also using his cabinet and his powers to manipulate parliament.
But
When you have ministers coming from parliament, it means that you are basically playing, the executive is also playing a role in the legislature.
I look at it from the lack of feeling that the decisions that are being made that will touches on the lives of everyday Kenyans is done by people who do not have the mandates of the mwananchi. And when you have members of parliament occupying the position of ministers, there is a clear connection. So to me, what is happening today, as you're saying, then there was the presidency, the executive presidency then. To me, I would want a position where I feel that my member of parliament, sitting where he is also in the cabinet. And those decisions really are mine because I had a direct role in electing that person. And that is why there is a clear disconnect between the CSs that we have today and the common mwananchi. Because they are from another school of thought. They are from the different hierarchy in terms of where how they came up, and these are executives from corporations.
Yeah.
And nothing to do with politics. About
They
connection.
don't touch on the mwananchi.
Yeah.
Right.
They don't touch on the mwananchi. Let's now come back to KANU again. We saw your party leader now has the rungu.
Yeah.
What does that symbolize for the party?
Well, for us, we looked at that as we don't have, politics cannot allow room for, we don't need a vacuum in politics. But you saw that the elder brother, who happens to be a politician representing the people of Rongai constituency in Nakuru County, is also a politician. It is a decision that the father must have had with the family, within the family, that this is my elder son. Because he could have stuck with the rungu and say, I also want. But he was just living up to the father's expectations and decision to say, for my future connection with the rest of Kenyans, it will come through this handover.
Does it have anything to do with positioning him against another leader, if we want to talk about it now? I mean, quite openly. Of course, there's been speculation that him then being positioned means that he is the Rift Valley leader, as it were, and putting out DP Ruto at this point.
We're not the first community to have 2 persons seeking the highest office. You have in 2002 Kibaki and our current president Uhuru, and there was no big issue. Ours is just Matiba. It's never been
92.
an issue for us.
You even had Orengo.
You had Orengo and Raila.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
this should not be an issue. It's just us and moving forward. It will be a decision of the people of
Let
this
the
country.
people decide.
Let the people decide.
What is the Gideon and KANU's stronghold in that region, in North Rift, so to speak?
It's not going to be a walk in the park, but we are up to the challenge. He's had a head start. He's got all the machinery, the state machinery. We don't have that. And with all, you will feature. You see, if you tell somebody stupid, they'll start believing they're stupid.
Right.
So he's featured too much that he believes that he's the kingpin. But it will be decided by the people. And not only the people from Rift Valley, it will be decided by you and all of us.
It's the country.
Yes, a nation.
if I were to ask a theoretical question, what sort of percentage would you say in terms of influence does KANU have, one, in the Greater Rift Valley and in the rest of the country?
You see, we have members of parliament, shock on you, the highest number don't even come from Rift Valley. Mm-hmm. They come from Garissa, where Duale comes from. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have 3. Then you go to Laikipia, we have another 3. And then you go to, we have very few members of parliament in
Rift Valley.
In Rift Valley, because we've never had democracy there. We've had issues. We've never had democracy.
What do you mean you never had
Well,
democracy?
pause, because we're going to take off your head here.
Okay. It's a new station, so be kind to me.
I'm sure you don't mean it has never, ever, 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 ever had democracy, or do you mean, in all honesty,
it has
that
never
it has
been
never,
democratic?
never had democracy?
The way elections have been conducted is what Kenyans are complaining about. The fairness in terms of how leaders were chosen. You know, we've suffered from the deep state, if you know what I mean.
And
Rigged elections, because IBC has been a thorn in the flesh.
but
No, please
Mheshimiwa,
tell us what this is. What
no.
exactly you suffered from?
I'm actually not going there. I'm going to ask him what when KANU was the deep state.
Yes, come again?
KANU was the deep state at some point, was it not?
No, in the one-party system, KANU was everything.
No, KANU was actually deep state even with multi-party.
No, not that. I think from the KANU, you have to give KANU its rightful position in this country.
Perhaps let me explain what I mean, Mheshimiwa.
Please do, yes. Yeah.
When I say KANU was in power, even with multi-partyism, there are very few people who are politicians, even currently, who were never in KANU at some point.
True.
That's what I'm trying to say. Now, KANU may be the dominant party, okay, before multipartyism, but it wasn't an irrelevant party even with the advent. It still isn't irrelevant. My question,
So the influence of KANUism still exists.
It still exists. So when I talk about KANU and the influence, I'm talking about KANU as it's currently constituted. What is its influence? Remember, you were explaining, and you started well. We've listened to the numbers, but sometimes the influence has nothing to do with the numbers, really. Because if you have the ear of the person who is in charge, who was also a child of KANU, you will have influence, won't you?
True.
Okay, so let me ask the question again. What is the influence of KANU within Rift Valley, Greater, and the rest of the country?
As I was saying, interest can only be measured according to the members of parliament that we got. So I was getting there.
Yes.
So I started from Garissa, and Laikipia, and Samburu.
Yep.
And even we have representation in Kisii. So I wanted to specifically say why there was a lot of repressed presence of KANU in Rift Valley.
Thank you.
Because that repression stemmed from one of us who felt that should KANU be allowed
to
thrive within, he would have lost that space that he was trying to endear himself to the rest of Kenyans. So there was a lot of pressure to ensure that a certain direction in terms of how the people of Rift Valley were to elect their leaders was achieved. So be it what we are complaining about IEBC and the
nomination process for the parties,
and also interference on parties that even outside your own party, you had to make sure that weak leaders came. That when it's time,
you had weak candidates in KANU.
And if that was not achieved, you had to go to the next level, use IEBC. And if that was not achievable, you had to use now the deep state.
So you're saying there was a serious scheme to ensure that KANU does not have,
and that's why going
and
back,
that deep state still exists.
No, we are happy now that
it's gone.
Through BBI, we hope the level playing field. We will achieve a level playing field,
or a semblance of it.
Yes,
a semblance of level playing field. Basically, what I'm hearing you, Mheshimiwa, saying is when you look at the last election in the Rift Valley, there was direct manipulation of the process.
True.
And this direct manipulation ensured that KANU also did not have strong candidates to field against the stronger parties in the region. And the stronger party in the region here being Jubilee.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Why was KANU sitting back and watching this unfold?
We never sat back. But there's only so much you can do once you have a skewed IEBC, once you have a skewed administrative system that is not really willing to give or protect the level playing field that should exist in an election. So to us, we are happy that those who have seen that we cannot go into 2022 with the way things are, that we will push through BBI to really change that which we know is definitely awaiting Kenyans in the next election, reduce the pressure we put on the presidency so that it's not about our turn to go. It's about what do we do with the taxpayers' money? What as a political, what is the intention? You see that Kenyans divorce themselves from being a taxpayer and following up on their own dollar. Just you cannot divorce yourself from the money you earn, talking to us every morning here and being paid for it, and then go and just leave it there, not watch where it goes and how it's spent.
Well, I mean, they've been given the feeling over time that you don't really have a right to ask. You know, by the time you put somebody in a position of power, the responsibility towards that individual dies at that point. And we've talked about it just a few minutes ago. So now how are we going to get Kenyans, I mean, you're speaking as KANU, how will you get Kenyans to then understand that in the position of power, they are the ones who actually have the seat?
We
Take a pause, Mheshimiwa.
Yes.
Let's take a look at traffic and then you come back
Thank
and you
you.
answer that question.
Thank you.
On how you're going to ensure that, Kenyans start looking at things differently. Good morning. We have in the studio on the hot seat, Nick Salat. He is the Secretary General of KANU. Of course, we're talking about KANU rebranded, KANU succession politics in the Rift Valley and countrywide.
We want to be an ideologically based party. We want to really share and bring, we want to have a connection between what a political party does and what is it expected to do. That means we have a pool of monies that is put together for the benefit of all of us. And how should that money? So you need to say in advance. Don't wait for the budget and say that it's been done elsewhere. You need to have actually brought Kenyans on board from day one. And that's what is lacking in this country. There is a disconnect between what a political party goes to do and how, as me now, my people in Bomet, for example, would expect me to come and get some monies from somewhere. There is no monies that are out there. It is all a pool of money that is brought together. And if that mandate is given to you as a party, what are you going to do to make my life better? So we want to be a party that has an ideology on how we are going to prudently spend
Manage
the
our
taxpayers,
finances.
manage the finances of this nation. Because finances of this nation cannot be managed from an individual directive.
If you're saying that, Mheshimiwa Nick Salat, and you're saying that in this particular financial budget-making process this year, KANU is involved so much that KANU has already organized people. It has taken them to make presentations to the National Treasury, to the Budget Committee of Parliament, that KANU is involved already. I'd be believing you. Or that when counties are making budgets, that KANU is very much involved in ensuring that the citizenry is aware of the budget-making cycle and is participating. I'd believe you. But now it just sounds like words that you're saying.
No, it was a question about what are we, the future.
Oh, it's a future.
The future. What is it that we
Why
want
can't you start now
If
with
we,
this?
No, that's what we're saying. Going forward, by the time we reach 2022,
Okay.
we want to make sure that we are going to let Kenyans know that it is seeking management. We want to seek to manage the resources of this country. And when we given that mandate, this is what we seek to achieve for the betterment of this country. There is no party today that is giving that explanation. It is only a manifesto which is a replica all through and through. But it doesn't. Yeah,
It's like one person wrote
we just
all of
go to
them.
the archives, we bring it back, and then put it back again up to the next election, circle, and then and people don't relate. So we want to have, if it is a manifesto, it has to really touches on what's real, because what is real to Kenya? Is it the money we've borrowed? Is it the money we have? So based on what we have first, before what we talk about what we're going to borrow, Kenyans have to be on board step by step.
I like what you're saying.
Yes.
What steps is KANU going to take to ensure that this message reaches the very people you would like to support this vision by way of voting?
This is why stations like Spice FM, you come and interrogate political parties. You come and interrogate so that Kenyans can know what a political party's direction wants, what direction does KANU and does Jubilee.
That is one.
Yes.
Specifically, we have 47 counties. How do you plan to reach the 47 counties? Because I am sure you're a national party and you'd like representation, actual representation in terms of people representing you through votes in Parliament and in the Senate and elsewhere. What are the steps that you plan to take to ensure that you reach all these people?
The thing about us as a party is that we are lucky. We have infrastructure. It's only been a sleeping giant. We believe we are to blame for not actually activating our structures across the country.
The infrastructure
the
here being
infrastructure,
what? KANU offices.
KANU offices and people
Officials.
and officials. And you cannot go to every corner of this country. There has to there has to be somebody who is known, has heard about KANU.
Yeah.
But now that was then. What we want to know, what we want them to know about the present day KANU moving forward, because things have changed. The people who are voters today have no connection to KANU, but KANU is a party that exists. But it wants now to connect with the present day Kenyans and the direction that things are supposed to take in this country. Yes.
So you also talked about, engaging the youth, for example, to tell you what kind of image they'd like to see KANU take. So it sounds to me like you're targeting now a younger audience for KANU. It's like you're trying to think KANU is going to be KANU 2.0 of younger members.
Yeah, if you the voting majority today of Kenyans, 50 plus, 52, let's say even 55% are the ones 35 and below. And those are the people we want to connect with. That's why we have a youth league. We have reactivated our youth league. And we want to give them prominence in terms of them leading the way our constitution is structured. We are actually going to give them prominence in terms of how they are going to connect with their fellow youth in this country. So we will take a backseat just to make sure that we give them space to grow in terms of also coming to occupy the positions that we are currently occupying, so that they can now be the Kenya of today, because you can never exclude them. When somebody is 50 plus one, that is where you need to focus on.
But other parties, I have heard, have similar plans to try as much as possible to reach the youth. What is it that you're going to be doing that is different from what other parties are doing?
As I said, we want to give them positions, key positions within the party, not only just at the youth league, but also to occupy space at the executive level.
Yeah.
And that's what we've created an office for them. We opened actually last year. They have presence in our office. Some of the youth were paying them. They are actually salaried paid executive positions that we want them to disseminate information about the party using the current mode of communication. And that's what we are saying. We don't want to be left behind. We want to have an active Facebook. We want to have, just to occupy all the media communication platforms that are existing today.
One thing that's came in the times where KANU was the dominant party in this country, of course, they're saying, there were perceptions about friendliness towards women in positions of leadership and then moving forward. I mean, it's divided down the line. Yes, there was friendship. There was a friendly outreach. In other cases, there was a shut door. What is the position when it comes to women in leadership from a KANU perspective and then moving forward?
Thank you for that, because we pride ourselves, the girl child. We want to say the party, even during the one-party system, when KANU was the sole political party then, KANU really put a lot of emphasis to bring the girl child on board. And that we can take pride in. To say that the vibrancy of the women of today, you included, was a product of KANU. And why don't we say we are not detaching ourselves from that? We can only now entrench it in all the positions that we have, because we have a very strong women league also within the party. And we want to also make sure that they do also come and occupy key positions within the party.
Well, many have said that women's league was kind of like, the cheerleading aspect of the party, that they would, kind of just go ahead and, resource development or, having more, using them to mobilize votes and not really giving them positions that, you would say it was at the same place that you would give men. Is that a different perception that you have?
I would not say, because the first, I say we want to go back and say we really played a key role in terms of giving the first women minister to sit at the cabinet. That was during the Moi's time. And I cannot divorce myself from knowing that there's no difference between what you can do and what I can do. You can mobilize as well as I can mobilize. So if you have that ability, why are you not going to be given a chance? So we want to give you a chance. And not give you a chance, to make you be yourself. Why should we give you a chance? And you have the ability to
So the platform, what you're saying then is the platform is there.
It's there.
Are you encouraging it, or you're just saying it's there, come and take advantage, or are you encouraging it?
We're not saying we encourage. We know that you have the ability to sit where I am as a Secretary General. I'm not going to say you don't have. You can sit here and be here. So if you can challenge me or if I can say you're better than me, I don't mind moving aside and letting you come and sit where I am, because we need vibrancy, and we cannot sit for the party. We don't have to say it. I heard you talking about resigning. Personally, I don't mind if I see that she's able to come and do a better job than I can, because I believe in the party, and I believe she can push better buttons than I am pushing. Why not?
Mheshimiwa, you're a politician, and you know you're on radio, and you're saying really nice things. How often, forget KANU for the time being.
Yes.
One, the debate you had, we were asking, why is it that when people who are in senior political positions are found to be political or even government officials, why must they actually be forced out? Why can't they take that moral high ground and say, okay, if this is a situation, let me step aside? But that having been asked, let me pause. Ndu, do you know of KANU actually discouraging women from taking positions of authority? Because we keep asking, do they encourage? Do they discourage?
No, I said I was very clear. Has the platform been created? Platform just being created, or saying here it is, and we're saying yes, not just because we've created the platform, but saying, I encourage you, go ahead and fill up these positions.
I can give you an example of how you encourage. The courts, for example, have already ordered that political parties should ensure that you're the ones that are reaching the 2/3 gender rule.
Correct.
By ensuring that your nominees, you have very many women being nominated. Is the party working to ensure that you have more women candidates for elections?
You would let me even give you a live example. The slot we got for Senate to nominate, we nominated a woman, Abshiro, the senator from Isiolo. So any opportunity that space belongs to a woman, we will not go out of our way to take it away from them. And we want to say that has been the case. In 2002, we nominated a woman. In 2013, we nominated a woman. Any slot that we got, we've never left there. When we saw that it's the majority are men, before even the constitutional amendment of inclusivity was brought on board, KANU has never left that space, because in 2002, we did not have to nominate, but we nominated two. One, a professor from Western, and KANU, also a professor from Kericho. So those were key women, and they played a big role in parliament. If you go to the Hansard, you can see we did not make a mistake. They contributed very well in all the discussions that took place in parliament.
Now, how about elective positions?
Elective positions.
So making sure that, for example, if you're saying you're participating in elections countrywide on MCA, MP, woman rep, Senate, and those positions, governor positions, ensuring that if you look countrywide, Nick Salat as the Secretary General of the party, you're asking your Director of Elections, let's have more women, at least a third of our candidates countrywide being women.
We, like for example, in Lesuda, and I'm sure she's also a communication. She won the elections. She stood and won the elections in Laikipia. Is it not Laikipia, but
in
Laisamis, yes. And countrywide, we encourage, because it's all about finances and supporting them. We encourage those who have what it takes. Those who say, I can take on the men, I can stand. You see, as much as we would want to say we want to live by the 2/3 majority requirement, we're saying there are women out there who feel I don't have to go for that push. I am worth my position. Because there's never been a day that there is less of that. We are equal in classroom, we are equal in everywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Even in political
in political space. So there are women who feel, the Karoas of this world, who know they can take on men, because that space has been created. So we wish to encourage that they should not shy away. That we have today, we have an increase. Look at in parliament, like from 2002, the number of those who went for election, it's increasing every year. And I'm sure should that space be given, that they can be who they want to be. And I encourage foreign women groups around the world who come and keep talking to them, because you see, that is what we need. That is what we need, to have them challenged and to stand up and say, I can. And for sure, Bomet, for example, where I come from, we elected a woman,
as governor.
my MP, my own MP, Mrs. Laboso, Mrs. Cones. She's a woman. And she stood and taken on men, and she's there. So we want to say those are the kind of people who should not just say, I'm a woman. They are up to the task and they can stand up and be counted.
They're human beings.
Absolutely.
Now, there have been reports, of course, in the media that KANU is looking to cozy up with the Amani National Congress. True or false?
No, in BBI, we are not cozy. That's obvious. I mean, if the Constitution, the Political Parties Act is very clear. If you want to, there is pre and post. So pre is you engage pre-election and then post-election. But right now, maybe because we are working together under BBI, they also support BBI, we support BBI, and we've been seen together in functions, and we are.
Why would people pick on this particular party? Why would people look at KANU and the Amani National Congress? You're not the only parties that are supporting BBI. Ford Kenya is supporting BBI.
We've had
Maendeleo Chap is supporting BBI.
Yeah, even Wiper.
Even Wiper.
We've been associated with Wiper. Maendeleo Chap we have been. These are the BBI team, and that cannot be. It's very clear. If I want an association with you, there are only two ways of doing that: pre
and post.
But
So the connecting fiber here is BBI. That's what would bring you together. Is that what you're saying?
Because we know if we
Actually-
do not pull together, we are doomed.
would I be wrong if I say the connecting fiber is actually KANU? The head of Wiper was very prominent in KANU not too long ago. The head of Amani Party was also very in KANU in the strongest way possible, again, not too long ago. So these are people you actually know.
So the
These-
chickens are coming home to roost. Is that what we're talking about here? That everybody's just
100
basically
years.
coming back to
To
where
the
their
go.
affiliations were in the
Yes.
first place. Coming back to the rooster.
Yeah, Kibaki said KANU will rule for 100 years. And I don't think his prediction is very right. That's why when I asked them to Tingiza in Kabarak, and everybody who did not Tingiza, because I know I can give, as my friend has put it here, it is all of us. We've been through KANU. And I'm not seeing anybody who is potentially to give a good run for the presidency or the prime minister will not be far. They will still be KANU children.
Well, they can be KANU children, but as long as they're not KANU, then KANU is not benefiting from that. KANU cannot claim, for example, today that it has a presidency.
We can, by extension only.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's-
but what we are saying, we want to grow KANU as KANU.
so that now we have a KANU president
Correct.
and a KANU prime minister.
Indeed.
Let's ask the question that perhaps most people are wondering about. The issue that you came into as you walked in.
Yes.
The issue of public servants, private space, state officials, and the morality code. Should people resign from office if they are found culpable?
I think it is about time we actualize that particular act, that chapter 6, isn't it? That we actualize it, because there is no need to have a chapter that we keep violating day in, day out. And I think for only Kenyan to have, for us politicians to be accountable, you just resign. You will not die. You won't die. You won't die. I think people fear that once you resign, and you see that's what there's life outside politics.
Yeah.
I've been out for what? This is second time now, and I'm here. I'm at the spice. I'm
healthy.
spicing
You're
things
okay.
up. I'm spicing things up. So yeah.
So, but at what point should someone take responsibility?
When you know that you will interfere with whatever investigation is happening, when you know that you are responsible. For me, and I know what you're talking about, I think you need to, even if you're not going to resign, tell us. I've actually asked all those who have been mentioned within my
pause.
office.
Let's be very direct.
Yes.
We have an allegation about the office of the deputy president, and people have been taken to court, and it's about an alleged arms scam. This is what we are referring to, right?
Yes.
And saying the office of the DP has been tainted.
It is.
So what
it's a crime
actions
scene.
should the DP
And
take?
it's not the first time either.
It's a crime scene.
What action should the DP take?
He should first, before what Kenyans can ask of him to do, he should act on those officers within his docket, within his office, to either resign or be fired, because that is what Kenyans would expect from his office. Not to say you are there for a minute or 23 minutes. You can kill many people within that. You can kill a whole country
in 23 minutes.
23 minutes. And that is what Kenyans are asking for. How can my boardroom be used for such that's a big figure, 40 billion, and you have no idea. And we know how much you love money.
Right.
Yeah. And we know how much you like to dish out money. Yeah. Now we know. And that's the kind of thing. You only 40 days. Yeah, they say take 40 days. And I think the 40 days
this is the 40th.
This is the 40th it has reached now. And
are you saying that this is pointing to answering some of those questions? Of course, in the public domain, where does the money come from?
Where does the money come from? Come on, guys. And 40B, I will be dishing out. If I get 40 billion right now,
there's nothing you couldn't do.
I will do. Come on, I will dish out 10 million every day.
Please remember me.
Yeah, give me a call. Yeah.
So, I mean, in this case, with all that we've seen, it seems that a lot of times, a lot of these scandals that we see, this particular officer's name comes out. So would you say at this point, apart from the officers or instigating or putting up any kind of investigation, he then must say at this point, he then or anybody else around the country, you would say, okay, I resign, I step aside from this position, find out what you must.
Yes, and the law is very clear. Even if we commit murder together, everybody will be held accountable individually. And that is what should pertain here. A crime scene, and it has happened in your office. You cannot say, and then go point another office, answer yours first. Don't tell us that, look there, you're giving us a money trail or whatever you did. First show us that you're being responsible about the 23 minutes that these people. And then you ask DOD also, we'll ask DOD to give us their to do the same. So don't go and say, go DOD, go where, and then start bringing people, because very well we know let me tell you, whatever will come out of this is going to come home to roost, as you put it. Now, on the doorstep, it will come to his doorstep, because I'm told, even at the foreign Poland there are fingers pointing at what is happening in Poland and who is there in Poland, who has a connection with somewhere.
Let me ask
who
the
sits
question.
in the
Yes.
embassy in Poland.
You see, my question was broad deliberately. We have a case that the minister in charge of our health services is actually answering to in the Senate. She's had issues. She's been called by the Senate committee that deals with some of these issues. She has been questioned. The Minister of Defense was mentioned in this scam that we speak of. So we've had ministers mentioned before. Now, taking the precedent of where our head of treasury and the principal secretary actually had to leave, should public servants such as the ones I've mentioned, what is the threshold for mentioning at the point, in your opinion, at the point which then it becomes imperative for them to resign?
Well, by arresting. If an arrest has taken place, that is direct.
That's enough.
That's enough to say, I'm stepping aside, because investigations will start. And if it starts and you're still in that office, and it happened in this spice, I'll take this cup away and say it wasn't here. Okay. So the moment we have an arrest and implicating an office, those people who have been mentioned should automatically resign.
You're a politician. Your fellow politicians will always argue that, politics is weaponized. Or the war on corruption is weaponized politically. So I can come and effect an arrest within your office just to get you out.
Well, you can be arrested. If you are innocent and taken to court,
it will tell.
It will tell. I mean, you have to say, show me the evidence. But here you're being told you spent 23 minutes here. And you're the one claiming, yes, they were in my office for 23 minutes. What cannot happen
Only
in 23 minutes? Children can be born in 23. How many children are born in Life can be created within those. How many lives have been created in 23 minutes? So we want to say it has been pointed there. And we need to see him, even if not him resigning, to take steps and say, why did you allow these people to come to my office? And now these people there's a scam which is not being supported anywhere in government, and you're still the second in command. Just step aside.
Take all responsibility.
It is important, and that's the only way. You see, remember Kimunya at one point, he was a scandal was discovered in. He said, "I'd rather die than resign." He ended up resigning. He's in parliament today.
Yes,
He didn't die.
He didn't die. So what's the big deal? He resigned.
You can go and come back.
Yeah, you can go and reinvent yourself.
Coming back to KANU, is KANU likely to field a presidential candidate in 2022?
Any existing political party that does not aspire for the highest seats, then that does not deserve to be a political party. It should actually not even feature anywhere. I answer your question. We will feature prominently at all levels of elective positions.
Who's likely to be your candidate?
We will go through the process.
Well, what's the process for KANU?
The process is the normal party elections, and if so wish, if anybody doesn't show up and Gideon Moi presents himself, which I think so far in our party he seems to be the one leading the pack,
Front runner.
Nobody has given any indication of challenging him, then so it will be him.
What about you, Mheshimiwa? What are your aspirations?
Where the position will be dictated by the outcome of BBI.
Thank you.
Prime Minister.
You never know.
You never know.
Prime Minister moja apande hii. Now, of course, if we were to have a presidential candidate in the name of Gideon Moi,
Correct.
and then you have a presidential candidate in the name of William Arap Ruto, now this is going to be a battle of titans in the North Rift.
Yes.
What's the preparation for that? I mean, how do you see that playing out? As you've told us,
One
deep state played you out in the last election.
One will go to the opposition, like we did in 2002. The leader of the opposition was Uhuru Kenyatta, and the president was Mwai Kibaki.
Oh, so you're saying so one of them will be president, the other will be in the opposition?
Well, he has responded well to that one.
Yeah, he's played it very safe.
No, he's played it well. That is why, in that regard, I actually have nothing else I want to ask him except. Except. Amani Party have been mentioned. We've mentioned Wiper. There's no mention of ODM or Jubilee, which are the dominant parties in the country.
Yes. As you can see, the handshake is ODM, Jubilee. I think those are the people who will get this country back on track. Yeah. Those are the people who will see Kenya have a better future without all these acrimonies, and they will guide this baby to success.
To success and birth.
Yes.
Do you want a regional government?
I think important devolution is key, so that also you would take resources back. Our villages
Back to the
back
people.
to the people. Our villages are not the same anymore, even though it is in debts, but we still see the
Significant
fruits, changes because of devolution.
Nick Salat, Secretary General of KANU, thank you very much for
Asante
joining
sana.
us.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for tuning in as well. Just keep it right here because we have a conversation going on, and the conversation happens on our social media platforms as well. Spice FM KE on Facebook and Twitter.